Hello there, and welcome to what is undoubtedly the most ambitious, deep-reaching, and transformative immersion session we have ever attempted here on English in Advance. I am your host, Jessica, and I am feeling a profound sense of gratitude and excitement as I look at the incredible journey we are about to embark on together. We are not just here today to learn a few grammar points or memorize a list of vocabulary. We are here to perform a total mental reset. We are here to dismantle the heavy, slow bridge of translation that has been holding you back and replace it with a direct, high-speed neural pathway between your thoughts and your English voice. If you have ever felt that frustrating delay where you hear a word, search for its meaning in your native tongue, and then try to build a response, today is the day we break that cycle forever. This session is a massive, long-form training designed specifically for B1 and B2, learners who are ready to stop being students and start being fluent speakers of the language. Before we dive into the heart of this training, I want to invite you to join our global community of dedicated learners. If you value this kind of intensive, long-form content, please subscribe to English in Advance and hit that notification bell. Your support allows me to keep creating these massive immersion lessons that help you live and breathe in English. Now, I want you to take a very deep, slow breath. Feel the air expanding your chest, and as you exhale, imagine every word and every structure of your native language simply floating away, leaving your mind clear, open, and ready to be filled entirely with the sounds and feelings of English. Let's begin this journey. The first and most vital step in stopping the translation habit is to change your relationship with the words themselves. Most learners see words as labels for things in their own language, but I want you to start seeing words as sensory experiences. We often talk about visual anchoring, but today we are going to expand that into full sensory immersion. When I say the word rain, I don't want you to look for the translation. I want you to feel the cool, damp mist on your skin. I want you to hear the rhythmic tapping of droplets against a window pane. I want you to see the gray, heavy clouds hanging low over a green field. When you connect a word directly to a sensation, you bypass the translation center of your brain. You are no longer thinking about the word, you are experiencing the concept. Imagine the word spicy. Don't translate it. Instead, feel that sharp, tingling heat on the tip of your tongue and the warmth spreading through your chest after a bite of a hot pepper. This sensory bridge is the fastest way to build a brain that thinks in English. It is how you spoke as a child, and it is how you will achieve fluency now. As we move into the complexities of the B1 and B2 levels, we have to deal with abstract ideas that don't have a simple physical form. This is where the practice of circumlocution becomes your greatest strength. Circumlocution is the art of using the words you already know to describe a word you don't know. It is a superpower because it keeps you in the English zone even when your vocabulary fails you. If you forget the word for entrepreneur, don't switch to your native language. Instead, think of it as a person who starts their own business, takes risks, and tries to bring a new idea to the world. By defining the word in English, you are reinforcing your existing knowledge while building a home for the new concept. This process of using English to explain English creates a closed loop in your mind where your native language has no room to enter. Let's dive into our first long-form narrative to practice this immersion. Imagine a man named Julian who lives in a village where the houses are built entirely of glass. In this village, there are no secrets. Everyone can see what everyone else is doing at all times. Julian is a very private man, and he finds this constant visibility exhausting. He decides to build a house made of solid, dark stone in the middle of the forest. He spends months carving the stones and stacking them one by one. As the walls grow higher, the noise of the village fades away. He finally has a place where he can sit in the shadows and listen to his own thoughts. In this story, words like visibility, exhausting, and shadows are your anchors. Visibility is the state of being seen. Exhausting is a level of tiredness that goes deep into your bones. Shadows are the dark areas where the light cannot reach. By experiencing Julian's struggle for privacy, these words become part of an emotional landscape in your mind. You don't need a dictionary to understand how Julian feels. You only need to imagine the cold stone and the quiet forest. The internal monologue is perhaps the most powerful tool you have for daily training. Every human being has a voice in their head that narrates their life. For most of you, that voice is currently speaking your native language. I want you to consciously and forcefully switch that voice to English. Start with the simplest actions of your day. As you wake up, tell yourself that it is time to get out of bed. Describe the feeling of the floor against your feet. Mention the smell of the coffee as it brews in the kitchen. When you are driving to work, narrate the traffic, the weather, and the songs playing on the radio. If you encounter a problem, try to solve it in English. If you are frustrated, express that frustration to yourself in English. This constant internal practice builds a foundation of fluency that makes external speaking feel like a natural extension of your thoughts. You aren't reaching for a foreign language. You are simply sharing the language that is already living in your head. Let's talk about the cultural soul of English. Every language carries the history, the values, and the humor of the people who speak it. To stop translating, you have to adopt the personality of the English language. This often means embracing a more direct way of speaking, but also a more nuanced way of expressing politeness. In English, we use modal verbs like could, would, and might to soften our statements and show respect. Instead of saying I want water, which sounds demanding, we say I would love a glass of water, please. This isn't just a grammar rule, it's a way of interacting with the world. When you use these structures, you are stepping into the English persona. You are learning to navigate social situations using the emotional logic of the language. This cultural immersion is what separates a student from a speaker. It is the moment when the language stops being a set of rules and starts being a part of who you are. Imagine you are at a crowded market in a foreign city. The air is thick with the smell of exotic spices and the sound of people bartering over prices. You see a beautiful hand-woven rug that you want to buy. The seller is a kind, elderly man with a sharp eye for a deal. You have to use your English to negotiate. You don't have time to translate. You have to listen to his tone, watch his gestures, and respond in the moment. You say, "This is a stunning piece of work, but the price is a bit higher than I expected. Is there any room for a discount?" He smiles and tells you a story about the woman who made the rug. Through this interaction, you are using English as a tool for connection and survival. You are no longer worried about being perfect. You are worried about being understood. This is where true fluency is born. Listening to natural, unscripted English is essential for training your ears to handle the rhythm of the language. In real conversations, people don't speak in perfectly formed sentences. They use fillers, like, well, actually, and basically. They shorten their words and link them together in a way that sounds like a single stream of sound. To master this, you have to stop listening for individual words and start listening for the melody. English is a stress-timed language, which means we emphasize certain syllables while others almost disappear. This heartbeat-like rhythm creates a musical quality to the language. Practice listening to the way I am speaking right now. Notice which words I stress and which ones I glide over. Usually, the nouns, verbs, and adjectives get the most energy, while the small grammar words like the of and to are squeezed in between. By mimicking this rhythm in your own speech, you are aligning your brain with the natural pulse of the English language. Let's do a rhythm exercise together. I am going to say a sentence, and I want you to tap your hand against your leg on the stressed syllables. The weather has been so unpredictable lately. Tap on weather, unpredictable, and lately. Notice how those 3 taps provide the skeleton of the sentence. The other words just fill in the gaps. By focusing on these anchors of meaning, you can understand long, complex sentences without needing to translate every single part. You are training your brain to be efficient, to look for the message instead of the mechanics. One of the biggest obstacles at the B1 and B2 levels is the fear of making a mistake. This fear triggers the translation reflex because you want to be sure that what you are saying is correct. But I want to tell you a secret. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. We stumble over our words, we use the wrong tenses, and we forget what we were going to say in the middle of a sentence. Perfection is not the goal. Communication is. When you give yourself permission to be imperfect, the pressure on your brain is released. And when the pressure is released, the English begins to flow. Think of a mistake not as a failure, but as a data point. It's a sign that you are pushing the boundaries of your current ability. Every time you catch yourself making a mistake and you correct it in English, you are building a stronger, more resilient neural pathway. Let's explore another story to build your abstract vocabulary. Imagine a woman named Elena, who is an architect of dreams. In her world, people don't sleep in ordinary beds. They sleep in glass capsules that allow Elena to design the landscapes they see while they dream. One night, a man comes to her and asks for a dream about the ocean, but he wants it to be an ocean of light, not water. Elena has to use her imagination to create a world where the waves are made of golden photons and the fish are shimmering constellations. She works for hours, adjusting the brightness and the frequency of the dream. When the man wakes up the next morning, he feels a sense of profound clarity and peace. In this story, words like capsules, constellations, and clarity are your focus points. A capsule is a small enclosed space. A constellation is a group of stars that forms a pattern. Clarity is the quality of being clear and easy to understand. By connecting these words to Elena's magical work, you are giving them a rich, emotional context that bypasses your native language entirely. The concept of chunking is another vital strategy for breaking the translation habit. Native speakers don't build sentences word by word. We use prefabricated groups of words that always go together. Think of phrases like, in the long run, as far as I know, or to be honest. When you learn these as a single unit, you don't have to think about the individual words or the grammar. You just pull the whole chunk from your memory and use it. It's like having a library of ready-made bricks that you can use to build your house quickly. Let's practice some common B2 chunks. Repeat them after me in your mind or out loud. I was wondering if you could, by the way, I should mention, it's only a matter of time before feel how these phrases flow together. They have their own internal rhythm that makes them easy to remember and use. As you continue this long-form session, I want you to think about your environment. Are you surrounding yourself with English in a way that forces your brain to adapt? Change the settings on your phone and your computer to English. Follow English-speaking creators on social media. Read the news in English. When you are constantly bombarded with English input, your brain eventually realizes that it is no longer optional. It has to learn to process this information efficiently. This immersion creates a sense of urgency that speeds up the learning process. You are no longer studying a language. You are living in a new world. Let's discuss the power of synonyms and why they are essential for reaching the next level of fluency. Often learners get stuck on a word they don't know, and then their brain panics and goes back to translation. But if you have a wide range of synonyms, you can always find a way to express your idea. Instead of saying happy, you could say thrilled, delighted, ecstatic, or content. Each of these words has a slightly different flavor. Thrilled is for a sudden burst of excitement. Content is for a steady, quiet sense of satisfaction. By learning these nuances, you are becoming a more precise and expressive speaker. You are moving beyond basic communication and into the realm of artistry. Let's do a synonym exercise. I will give you a common word, and I want you to think of 3 more descriptive alternatives. The word is big. You could say enormous, massive, gigantic, or substantial. The word is small. You could say tiny, miniature, microscopic, or insignificant. The word is bad. You could say terrible, awful, dreadful, or substandard. Notice how each of these words creates a different image in your mind. An enormous building feels different from a substantial building. By focusing on these images, you are anchoring the words to reality, not to your native language. I want to spend some time talking about the psychological phenomenon of the language plateau. This is the stage where you feel like you aren't making any progress, even though you are still studying hard. It's a very common experience for B2 learners. You can communicate well enough to get by, so your brain stops working quite as hard to learn new things. To break through this plateau, you have to challenge yourself with content that is slightly too difficult for you. Listen to a lecture on a complex topic. Read a book with challenging vocabulary. Engage in a debate about a controversial issue. This discomfort is where growth happens. When you force your brain to handle high-level information, it has to build new neural pathways to cope. This is how you move from being a good speaker to being an exceptional one. Imagine you are a mountain climber. You have reached a beautiful meadow halfway up the mountain. It's comfortable there. The air is sweet and the view is nice. Many people stop there, but you want to reach the summit. To do that, you have to leave the meadow and start climbing the steep, rocky path again. It will be hard, your lungs will burn, and your muscles will ache. But when you finally reach the top, the view will be unlike anything you have ever seen. This immersion session is your path to the summit. It is long, it is intensive, and it requires all of your focus. But the reward of total fluency is worth every bit of effort. Let's explore another narrative to deepen your immersion. Imagine a man named Silas who is a collector of echoes. He lives in a canyon where the walls are so tall and smooth that every sound lasts for minutes. Silas spends his days with a long silver trumpet, catching the echoes of birds, the wind, and the occasional traveler. He stores these echoes in jars made of dark blue glass. One day, a young girl comes to the canyon and asks Silas if he has the echo of her grandmother's laughter. Silas searches through his thousands of jars until he finds one that vibrates with a warm, golden light. He opens the jar, and for a moment the canyon is filled with the sound of a joyous, infectious laugh. In this story, words like echoes, vibrate, and infectious are your anchors. An echo is a sound that repeats as it bounces off a surface. To vibrate is to move back and forth quickly. Infectious describes something that spreads easily to others, like a laugh or a cold. By connecting these words to Silas and his canyon of sounds, you are building a vocabulary that is rooted in story and emotion. As we move toward the middle of our training, I want to address the physical side of language. Did you know that your mouth and tongue have to move in different ways to produce English sounds compared to your native language? This physical training is just as important as the mental training. If your mouth isn't used to making the sounds, your brain will have to work harder, which often leads to translation. Practice the tricky sounds of English, like the TH sound in through or the R sound in river. Pay attention to how your lips move and where your tongue touches your teeth. By developing muscle memory for these sounds, you are making the act of speaking more automatic. When your mouth knows what to do, your mind is free to focus on the ideas. Let's do a physical exercise for your mouth. I am going to say a short phrase, and I want you to repeat it 5 times, focusing entirely on the physical movement, the thought through the thicket. Feel the tip of your tongue against your upper teeth for the innate sounds. Feel the roundness of your lips for the ah sound in, through. By repeating this, you are training your muscles to perform the English dance. It might feel strange at first, but with practice, it will become as natural as breathing. This physical fluency is a key component of the overall goal of stopping translation. I want to talk about the importance of reading as a way to build your internal English world. When you read, you are exposed to a much wider range of vocabulary and sentence structures than you are in daily conversation. However, the way you read matters. If you stop to translate every word you don't know, you are reinforcing the translation habit. Instead, I want you to practice extensive reading. This means reading long texts without a dictionary. If you encounter a new word, try to figure out its meaning from the context. If you can't, just keep moving. The goal is to get used to the flow of the language. Over time, you will find that your brain starts to recognize patterns and meanings subconsciously. You are building an English library in your head that you can draw from when you speak. Imagine you are walking through an ancient library with millions of books. The air is still and smells of old paper and leather. You pick up a book and start to read. At first, the sentences are long and complex, and you feel a bit lost. But as you continue, the story begins to take hold of you. You stop seeing the words and start seeing the scenes. You are no longer a student studying a text. You are a traveler in another world. This is the power of reading. It allows you to inhabit the English language in a way that is deep and lasting. Let's explore another abstract concept, nostalgia. This is a word that is common at the B2 level and beyond. It describes a bittersweet longing for the past. Imagine you are cleaning out your attic and you find an old box of photographs. You see a picture of yourself as a child playing in a garden that no longer exists. You feel a pang of sadness because that time is gone, but also a warmth because the memory is beautiful. That mixture of feelings is nostalgia. By anchoring this complex emotion to a specific memory, you are making the word part of your own life. You don't need a translation. You have a feeling. The role of shadow speaking is another technique we must emphasize. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say with only a fraction of a second delay. You aren't just repeating the words. You are mimicking the intonation, the stress, and the emotion. This forces your brain to bypass the translation center because there simply isn't enough time to think in your native language. You have to focus entirely on the sound and the rhythm. I want you to try a short version of this now as I speak. Try to stay just behind my voice, mimicking the rise and fall of my tone. Notice how this requires a different kind of focus. You aren't analyzing the language, you are performing it. This performance is a powerful way to break the habit of mental translation. Let's talk about the concept of thinking in patterns. English, like all languages, is built on predictable structures. Once you recognize these patterns, you can start to anticipate what a speaker is going to say. This reduces the cognitive load on your brain and makes it much easier to follow a conversation without translating. For example, if someone starts a sentence with, "although," you know that a contrast is coming. If they say, on the other hand, you know they are about to present a different perspective. These transition words are like signposts on a road. They tell you where the conversation is going before you even get there. By learning these signposts, you can stay ahead of the speaker instead of struggling to catch up. Imagine you are a detective investigating a mystery. You are looking for clues that will lead you to the truth. In a conversation, the transition words are your clues. They tell you how the speaker is organizing their thoughts. If you can follow the logic of the organization, you don't need to translate the individual words. You are following the map of the message. This logical immersion is a high-level skill that will transform your ability to communicate in complex situations. As we move deeper into this immersion session, I want you to consider the importance of emotional resonance. Language is not just a tool for sharing information, it is a tool for sharing ourselves. When you speak English with emotion, you are creating a much stronger connection in your brain. Don't just say the words, feel them. If you are describing a happy event, let that happiness show in your voice. If you are talking about a difficult challenge, let that determination be heard. This emotional engagement makes the language part of your identity. You are no longer a student practicing a foreign tongue. You are a human being expressing your truth in English. Let's explore another story to build your situational vocabulary. Imagine a man named Arthur who is a lighthouse keeper on a remote rocky island. Every night he climbs the winding stairs to the top of the tower and lights the massive lamp that guides ships safely through the storm. He lives a solitary life with only the sound of the waves and the crying of the gulls for company. One night, the storm is so powerful that it threatens to blow out the light. Arthur has to use all of his strength to keep the lamp burning. He knows that hundreds of lives depend on him. In this story, words like solitary, remote, and threatens are your anchors. Solitary describes being alone. Remote means far away from everything else. To threaten is to be a source of danger. By experiencing Arthur's struggle against the elements, these words become part of a vivid, emotional landscape in your mind. The power of immersion also extends to your entertainment choices. Watch movies and television shows in English with English subtitles. This allows you to see the words as you hear them, which reinforces the connection between sound and spelling. However, as you get more comfortable, try to turn off the subtitles entirely. This forces your brain to rely solely on its listening skills. You might miss some things at first, but that's okay. Focus on the big picture. Notice the body language of the actors and the tone of their voices. These nonverbal cues provide a massive amount of information that helps your brain make sense of the language without needing to translate. Imagine you are in a theater, watching a play. The lights go down, the curtain rises, and the actors begin to speak. You don't have subtitles, and you don't have a dictionary. You have to rely on your senses and your intuition to follow the story. At first, you feel a bit overwhelmed, but slowly you start to understand the relationships between the characters and the tension in the scenes. You are no longer an observer. You are a participant in the drama. This is the ultimate goal of immersion, to be so absorbed in the language that you forget it is a language at all. Let's discuss the role of fillers in natural speech. Words like, well, so, and actually might seem unimportant, but they serve a vital function in English. They give the speaker a moment to think without creating a long, awkward silence. They also signal the speaker's attitude. Well often introduces a slightly different opinion. Actually often introduces a surprising fact. By learning to use these fillers, you are making your speech sound more natural and less robotic. You are also giving your brain a few extra seconds to find the next English word without needing to go back to your native language. Let's do a filler exercise. I will give you a situation, and I want you to start your response with a filler. Situation. Someone asks you if you like a movie that you found a bit boring. You could say, well, the acting was good, but the story was a bit slow. Situation. Someone asks you if you know the way to the station, and you do. You could say, actually, I just walked past it. It's only 5 minutes from here. Notice how these small words change the feel of the conversation. They make you sound more like a native speaker and less like a student. I want to spend some time talking about the importance of self-correction. When you are speaking and you realize you made a mistake, don't panic and don't switch to your native language to explain the error. Instead, correct yourself in English. You can say, sorry, what I meant to say was, or let me rephrase that. This shows that you are in control of the language and that you are thinking in English. It is a sign of high-level fluency. It also keeps the conversation flowing in English, which is our ultimate goal. Every time you self-correct, you are refining your neural pathways and becoming a more accurate speaker. Imagine you are a sculptor working on a piece of marble. You make a small mistake and carve a bit too much away. You don't throw the whole piece of marble away. You adjust your design and keep working. You use the mistake to create something new and beautiful. Speaking a language is the same way. Every mistake is an opportunity to refine your craft. Every self-correction is a step toward perfection. Let's explore another abstract concept, resilience. This is a word that describes the ability to recover quickly from difficulties. Imagine a small tree growing on a cliffside. The wind blows constantly, the rain is heavy, and the soil is thin. The tree is bent and twisted by the elements, but it doesn't break. Its roots are deep and strong, and it continues to grow despite the challenges. That is resilience. By anchoring this word to the image of the tree, you are giving it a powerful physical meaning. You don't need a translation. You have an image of strength. The role of curiosity in language learning cannot be overstated. When you encounter a new word or expression, don't just see it as a task to be completed. See it as a mystery to be solved. Ask yourself why that word is used in that specific context. Look for other examples of how it's used. This active, curious mindset keeps your brain engaged and makes the learning process much more enjoyable. You aren't just memorizing rules, you are exploring a new world. This curiosity is what will drive you forward when the journey gets difficult. Imagine you are an explorer in a vast, uncharted territory. Every day you find something new, a strange plant, a beautiful waterfall, an ancient ruin. You don't feel burdened by the work, you feel excited by the discovery. This is how I want you to feel about your English journey. Every new word is a discovery. Every successful conversation is a triumph. This positive, adventurous mindset is the key to achieving total fluency. As we progress toward the final stages of our session, I want you to consider the importance of consistency. You cannot achieve fluency by studying for 10 hours one day and then doing nothing for a week. The brain needs regular, consistent input to build and maintain its neural pathways. Even if you only have 15 minutes a day, use that time to immerse yourself in English. Listen to a short podcast, read a few pages of a book, or narrate your morning routine. This daily habit is what will lead to long-term success. It is the steady drip of water that eventually carves a canyon through the rock. Let's explore one final story to anchor your immersion. Imagine a man named Gabriel who is a gardener of time. He lives in a world where the flowers don't grow according to the seasons, but according to the memories of the people who plant them. If you plant a memory of a happy childhood, a vibrant yellow flower will grow. If you plant a memory of a difficult challenge you overcame, a strong, deep red flower will bloom. Gabriel spends his days tending to these gardens, helping people understand that their past is not a burden, but a source of beauty. He knows that every memory, whether happy or sad, contributes to the richness of the garden. In this story, words like bloom, vibrant, and burden are your anchors. To bloom is to produce flowers. Vibrant describes something full of energy and life. A burden is something heavy or difficult to carry. By experiencing Gabriel's garden, these words become part of a deep, emotional tapestry in your mind. The journey to understanding English without translating is not easy, but it is one of the most rewarding things you will ever do. It requires patience, focus, and a willingness to be imperfect. But every minute you spend in immersion is a step toward a new way of being. You are expanding your world, your mind, and your potential. I am so honored to be your guide on this path, and I am so proud of the progress you have made today. This massive session has been a deep dive into the heart of the language, and you have stayed focused and engaged throughout. I want to finish by giving you a small challenge for the next 24 hours. Try to go for just 30 minutes without using your native language at all, even in your thoughts. Use all the techniques we have discussed today: visual anchoring, internal monologue, chunking, and paraphrasing. If you get stuck, don't panic. Just keep moving forward in English. You will be amazed at how quickly your brain starts to adapt when it realizes that English is its only option. This small victory will be the foundation for much larger ones in the future. Thank you so much for joining me today on English in Advance. Your dedication is truly inspiring, and I love being a part of your journey toward fluency. If you found this long-form immersion helpful, please leave a comment below and share your experience. What was the most challenging part of the training for you? What was your favorite story? I love hearing from you and learning about your goals. Don't forget to like this video and share it with a friend who is also on their English learning journey. Together, we can build a community of fluent, confident English speakers. I will see you in our next lesson, but until then, keep practicing, keep listening, and most importantly, keep living in English. You have the power to achieve your dreams, and I am here to support you every step of the way. This is Jessica signing off for now. Take care of yourself, and I will see you very soon in the next adventure. Goodbye for now, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Let's broaden our scope and talk about the architecture of an argument in English. When you are at the B2 level, you are often expected to express your opinion on complex social or professional issues. To do this without translating, you need to understand the logical flow of an English argument. We generally move from the general to the specific. We start with a clear statement of our position, followed by supporting evidence, and finally a conclusion that ties everything together. This linear structure is quite different from the circular or indirect structures found in many other languages. By adopting this logical frame, you are giving your brain a map to follow. You aren't wandering through a forest of translations. You are walking down a paved road. Imagine you are in a debate about the impact of technology on society. Instead of trying to translate a complex philosophical thought from your native tongue, use the English frame. You might say, in my opinion, technology is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it has made communication much faster and more efficient. For example, we can now connect with people all over the world in an instant. On the other hand, it can lead to social isolation and a lack of privacy. Therefore, I believe it is essential for us to find a balance in how we use digital tools. Notice how this structure, statement, support, contrast, conclusion, provides a clear path for your thoughts. You don't need to translate because the logic itself is universal. You just need to fill in the map with the English words you already know. Let's discuss the concept of semantic fields. This is a way of organizing your vocabulary into related groups. For example, think about the semantic field of travel. Within this field, you have nouns like destination, itinerary, and luggage. You have verbs like depart, arrive, and explore. You have adjectives like exotic, remote, and breathtaking. By learning words in these groups, you are building a dense network of connections in your brain. When you want to talk about your holiday, your brain doesn't have to search for a single isolated word. It just enters the travel field and finds all the related concepts ready for use. This categorical immersion is much more effective than learning random lists of words. Let's do a semantic field exercise. Think about the field of work and career. Can you think of 5 nouns, 5 verbs, and 5 adjectives that belong in this group? For nouns, you might have colleague, deadline, promotion, salary, and responsibility. For verbs, you might have collaborate, negotiate, supervise, delegate, and achieve. For adjectives, you might have ambitious, efficient, professional, demanding, and rewarding. By visualizing these words together in an office setting, you are creating a strong contextual anchor that bypasses translation. You aren't translating the word colleague, you are seeing the person sitting at the desk next to you. The role of metaphors and idioms is another area where B1 and B2 learners can truly excel. English is a language that is incredibly rich in imagery. We use physical actions to describe abstract ideas all the time. For example, we say that someone has a sharp mind or a warm heart. We talk about ideas catching fire or plans falling through. If you try to translate these literally, they make no sense. But if you understand the underlying image, they become very intuitive. To hit the nail on the head means to be exactly right. To be in the same boat means to be in the same difficult situation. To see eye to eye means to agree. By learning the stories and the images behind these expressions, you are adding color and depth to your English world. Imagine you are in a boat in the middle of a stormy sea. The waves are crashing, the wind is howling, and you are trying to stay afloat. You look at the person sitting next to you and you realize they are in the exact same situation. You are in the same boat. This physical image of shared struggle is what the idiom means. You don't need to translate the individual words. You just need to feel the connection to the person in the boat. This metaphorical immersion is a high-level skill that will make you sound much more like a native speaker and much less like a student. Let's talk about the importance of intonation and how it carries meaning in English. In many languages, the meaning of a sentence is determined mostly by the words and the grammar. In English, the way you say the words can change the meaning entirely. Think about the simple sentence, "I didn't say he stole the money." If you stress I, it means someone else said it. If you stress say, it means you might have implied it, but you didn't state it out loud. If you stress he, it means you said someone else stole it. By focusing on the music of the language, you are learning to hear the subtext. You are learning to understand what the speaker is really thinking, not just what they are saying. This auditory immersion is essential for building a deep, intuitive understanding of English. I want to spend some time talking about the power of storytelling as a learning tool. Our brains are hardwired to remember stories. We find it much easier to remember a series of events tied together by emotion and logic than we do a list of facts. This is why I use so many stories in our training today. When you listen to a story in English, you aren't just hearing words, you are inhabiting a world. You are following the journey of a character, feeling their emotions, and anticipating their actions. This narrative immersion creates a very strong and lasting connection in your brain. You aren't just learning English, you are living a story. Imagine a young boy named Leo who lives in a world where everyone has a special song that only they can hear. Leo's song is quiet and gentle, like a lullaby. He spends his days looking for someone who can hear his song, but most people are too busy listening to their own loud, fast melodies. One day, he meets an old woman who is sitting quietly by a river. She looks at Leo and starts to hum a melody that perfectly matches his own. For the first time in his life, Leo feels truly understood. In this story, words like melody, hum, and lullaby are your anchors. A melody is a sequence of musical notes. To hum is to make a low, steady sound with your lips closed. A lullaby is a quiet song used to help a child fall asleep. By experiencing Leo's journey, these words become part of a rich, emotional landscape in your mind. The concept of active recall is another strategy you must use to strengthen your English brain. This means challenging yourself to remember information without looking at your notes. For example, after you finish this session, try to summarize the main points in English. Try to retell one of the stories I shared with you. This process of searching your memory for the English words forces your brain to build stronger connections. It is the mental equivalent of lifting weights. The harder your brain has to work to find the information, the more it will remember it in the future. This active engagement is much more effective than simply reading or listening passively. Imagine you are a detective trying to piece together a case. You have all the clues, but you have to organize them in a way that makes sense. You have to recall what the witnesses said and where the evidence was found. This active process of reconstruction is how you solve the mystery. Learning English is a similar process of reconstruction. You have the clues, the words, the grammar, the sounds, but you have to put them together in your own mind to create meaning. This active reconstruction is what leads to total fluency. As we move toward the final portion of our massive session, I want you to consider the importance of mindset. Many learners believe that they are just not good at languages or that they are too old to achieve fluency. These limiting beliefs are a major obstacle to success. The truth is that the brain is incredibly plastic, and it can learn a new language at any age. The only thing that stops you is the belief that you can't. I want you to adopt a growth mindset. See every challenge as an opportunity to learn. See every mistake as a step forward. This positive, proactive mindset will give you the resilience and the determination you need to reach your goals. Imagine you are a seed planted in the dark, cold earth. You don't know what you are going to become, but you have a tiny spark of life inside you. You push through the soil, seeking the light. You face storms and droughts, but you keep growing. Eventually, you become a massive, beautiful tree with deep roots and a wide canopy. You are that seed. This immersion session is the water and the sunlight you need to grow. With consistency and focus, you will reach your full potential. Let's discuss the role of social interaction in achieving fluency. While solitary study is important, you cannot reach the highest levels of fluency without talking to other people. Engaging in conversation forces your brain to process information in real time. You have to listen, understand, and respond in an instant. This high-pressure environment is where the most significant progress is made. Don't be afraid to seek out English-speaking communities, either online or in person. Join a book club, a hobby group, or a language exchange. These social connections will provide you with a wealth of diverse input and the opportunity to practice in a supportive environment. Imagine you are at a party, surrounded by interesting people from all over the world. You strike up a conversation with someone about a topic you are both passionate about. You find yourself laughing, sharing stories, and expressing your opinions. For a moment, you forget that you are speaking a foreign language. You are just two human beings connecting through the power of communication. This is the ultimate goal: to use English to build bridges between yourself and the rest of the world. I want to talk about the power of visualization in preparing for these social interactions. Before you go into a situation where you will need to speak English, take a few minutes to imagine it in your mind. See yourself speaking confidently and clearly. Imagine the person you are talking to responding positively. This mental rehearsal reduces anxiety and primes your brain for success. It is a technique used by top athletes and performers, and it is equally effective for language learners. By visualizing your success, you are making it more likely to happen in reality. As we reach the conclusion of this extensive training session, I want you to feel a sense of pride in what you have accomplished today. You have dedicated a significant amount of time and energy to your growth. You have pushed yourself through long narratives, complex, abstract concepts, and intensive physical and mental exercises. You have shown the dedication and the focus that are required to achieve total fluency. This session has been a powerful immersion experience, and you will see the results in your confidence and your ability to understand and speak English without translating. Remember that the journey doesn't end here. Every day is a new opportunity to inhabit the English world. Keep your internal monologue going. Keep seeking out sensory experiences in English. Keep challenging yourself with content that pushes your boundaries. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your victories and never stop being curious. You have the potential to reach the summit of fluency, and I am here to support you every step of the way. I want to thank you again for choosing English in advance for your learning journey. It is a privilege to be your host, and I love seeing the progress our community is making. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment and let me know how this session has impacted your thinking. What was the most important lesson you learned today? What story stayed with you? I value your feedback and I look forward to connecting with you in our next lesson. I will leave you with one final thought. Language is a gift that allows us to share our hearts and minds with others. By learning to speak English without translating, you are giving yourself the gift of a wider world and a deeper connection to humanity. You are no longer limited by the boundaries of your native tongue. You are a citizen of the world. Keep your head high, your heart open, and your mind in English. This is Jessica, signing off for now. Take care of yourself, and I will see you very soon in the next adventure. Goodbye for now, and keep on shining. To ensure we are fully maximizing our immersion time, let's explore the psychological concept of flow states. A flow state, often called being in the zone, is when you are so focused on an activity that you lose track of time and your surroundings. This is the ideal state for language learning. When you are in flow, your brain is processing information effortlessly and effectively. To achieve this in English, you need to find materials that are just the right level of difficulty, challenging enough to keep you engaged, but not so hard that they cause frustration. When you are listening to this podcast or reading an English book, try to eliminate all distractions. Turn off your notifications, find a quiet space, and let yourself be fully absorbed in the experience. This deep focus is what allows the language to take root in your subconscious mind. Imagine you are a master painter standing before a blank canvas. You have your brushes, your paints, and a vision of what you want to create. You start to paint, and slowly the world around you disappears. You are only aware of the colors, the textures, and the movement of your hand. You are in a state of flow, and your art is a direct expression of your soul. This is how you should feel when you are using English. Whether you are speaking, writing, or listening, aim for that state of deep, effortless engagement. It is the most powerful and efficient way to achieve total fluency. Let's also discuss the role of active listening versus Passive listening. Passive listening is when you have English playing in the background while you do other things. While this is helpful for getting used to the sounds of the language, it is not enough to achieve fluency. Active listening requires your full attention. You are not just hearing the sounds. You are analyzing the meaning, predicting the speaker's next words, and reflecting on the emotions behind the message. This intensive engagement is what builds strong neural pathways and allows you to understand complex information without translating. For every hour of passive listening you do, try to do at least 30 minutes of active, focused training. Imagine you are an eagle, soaring high above the landscape. You have incredibly sharp vision, and you are constantly scanning the ground for movement. You are not just looking, you are observing, analyzing, preparing to act. This is how you should listen to English. Be like the eagle, focused, alert, and ready to capture every nuance of meaning. This active, predatory style of listening is what will transform your understanding of the language. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of community. Learning a language can sometimes feel like a solitary journey, but it doesn't have to be. By joining our community here at English in Advance, you are connecting with thousands of other learners who share your goals and your challenges. Support each other, share your successes, and learn from each other's mistakes. This collective energy is a powerful force that will keep you motivated and inspired. We are all in this together, and together we can achieve greatness. I want to thank you one last time for your dedication and your passion. You are doing something incredible, and I am so proud to be a part of it. Keep pushing your boundaries, keep seeking out new experiences, and never give up on your dreams. The world is waiting for your voice, so make sure it's heard in English. I'll see you in the next lesson. Goodbye. Now let's take a moment to look at the intersection of language and logic. In English, we place a very high value on linear reasoning. We like to see a clear connection between a cause and an effect. This is reflected in our grammar, specifically in the way we use conditional sentences. Think about the structure. If X happens, then Y will follow. This simple formula is the foundation of much of our communication. When you are expressing an idea, try to think in terms of these logical sequences. If I work hard, I will succeed. If it rains, the ground will get wet. By grounding your English in these universal logical truths, you are making it much easier for your brain to process the language. You aren't translating a sentence. You are expressing a logical relationship. Imagine you are a scientist in a laboratory conducting a series of experiments. You have a hypothesis, you follow a procedure, and you observe the results. You are looking for patterns, for connections, for truths. This is how you should approach English. Treat it as a system of logic that you are exploring. Look for the patterns, understand the connections, and embrace the truths. This scientific approach to language learning will give you a level of precision and clarity that is truly advanced. Let's also explore the concept of contextual mapping. This is a way of understanding a word not as an isolated unit, but as part of a larger context. For example, think about the word field. Depending on the context, it could mean a piece of land used for farming, a branch of study, or a region of influence. By understanding the different maps that a word can belong to, you are becoming a much more flexible and sophisticated speaker. You are no longer limited by a single, narrow definition. You are learning to navigate the diverse and complex landscapes of the English language. Imagine you are a cartographer creating a map of a new and unexplored territory. You are noting the mountains, the rivers, the forests, and the cities. You are drawing the connections between them, showing how they relate to each other. This is what you are doing with English. You are creating a mental map of the language, noting the words, the structures, and the meanings. You are drawing the connections, showing how they relate to each other. This mental map is what allows you to navigate the language with ease and confidence. Let's dive into another story to anchor this concept. Imagine a woman named Sarah who is a librarian in a city where the books are not made of paper, but of memories. Each book is a glowing orb of light that contains the entire life story of a person. Sarah's job is to organize these memories, to make sure they are preserved and protected. She spends her days listening to the whispers of the past, learning the secrets of thousands of lives. One day, she finds a memory that is different from all the others. It is not a story of a person, but of a language. It is a memory of the very first word ever spoken. In this story, words like orb, preserved, and whisper are your anchors. An orb is a spherical object. Preserved means kept in its original state. A whisper is a very quiet sound. By connecting these words to Sarah and her library of memories, you are giving them a unique and powerful meaning. As we continue our training, I want to talk about the importance of sensory storytelling. This is a way of using all 5 senses to create a vivid and memorable story. When you are describing a scene, don't just tell me what you see. Tell me what you hear, what you smell, what you feel, and what you taste. This multi-sensory approach creates a much stronger and lasting impression in the listener's brain. It makes the story feel real, alive, and meaningful. Imagine you are in a bustling kitchen, preparing a massive feast for a celebration. You hear the clatter of pots and pans, the sizzle of onions in a hot pan, the rhythmic chopping of vegetables. You smell the aroma of fresh herbs, the sweetness of roasting meat, the tanginess of a lemon. You feel the warmth of the stove, the weight of a heavy knife, the softness of a piece of bread. You taste the richness of a sauce, the crunch of a carrot, the coldness of a glass of water. This is sensory storytelling. It is a way of bringing your English to life, of making it a truly immersive experience. Now let's explore the world of English idioms in a professional setting. Idioms are a vital part of workplace communication, and understanding them is essential for reaching a B2 level. Think about phrases like to be on the same page, to touch base, or to think outside the box. If you try to translate these literally, they make no sense. But if you understand the underlying image, they become very intuitive. To be on the same page means to have the same understanding of a situation. To touch base means to briefly contact someone. To think outside the box means to think creatively and unconventionally. By learning these idioms in the context of a business meeting, you are becoming a much more effective and natural communicator. Imagine you are in a high-stakes negotiation with a group of international business leaders. You are discussing a complex deal, and the tension in the room is high. Someone suggests an unconventional solution, and you respond by saying, "That's a very creative idea. I like that you're thinking outside the box." This shows that you are not only fluent in English, but also in the culture of professional communication. It builds rapport, shows confidence, and helps to move the negotiation forward. I want to talk about the power of the pause in speaking. Many learners feel that they need to fill every second with sound to be considered fluent. But in reality, silence is a very powerful tool. A well-placed pause can show that you are thinking deeply. It can emphasize a point, and it can give the listener time to process your words. Instead of panicking and searching for a translation during a pause, just take a breath. Look the person in the eye. Smile. Use that silence to reset your English brain. You will find that when you do speak, the words come out more clearly and with more purpose. Imagine you are a conductor leading a massive orchestra in a performance of a grand symphony. You use your baton to control the rhythm, the volume, and the timing of the music. You know when to bring the instruments in, and you know when to let the silence speak. This silence is not empty. It is full of potential, of meaning, of emotion. This is how you should use the pause in your English speaking. It is a tool that allows you to control the flow of the conversation, to emphasize your message, and to connect more deeply with your listener. Let's dive into another story to build your situational vocabulary. Imagine a man named David who is a deep-sea diver, exploring the wreckage of an ancient ship on the ocean floor. He is surrounded by a world of darkness and silence, illuminated only by the light on his helmet. He sees schools of iridescent fish, forests of swaying kelp, and the broken remains of a once great vessel. He finds a small wooden chest, and inside he discovers a collection of golden coins. In this story, words like wreckage, iridescent, and vessel are your anchors. Wreckage describes the remains of something that has been destroyed. Iridescent means showing luminous colors that seem to change when seen from different angles. A vessel is a large ship or boat. By connecting these words to David and his underwater adventure, you are giving them a rich and adventurous meaning. The role of emotional intelligence in language learning is another area where we must focus. Language is not just about words and grammar. It is about empathy, connection, and understanding. When you are speaking English, try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. How are they feeling? What are they thinking? What is their intent? By developing your emotional intelligence, you are becoming a much more sensitive and effective communicator. You are learning to read the nonverbal cues, to understand the subtext, and to respond with compassion and clarity. Imagine you are a counselor, helping a person through a difficult time in their life. You listen with your heart. You offer words of comfort and support, and you help them to find their own strength. You are not just using language to share information. You are using it to build a bridge of empathy and understanding. This is the ultimate goal of English, to use it as a tool for human connection, for building a better and more compassionate world. As we progress toward the final stages of our massive session, I want you to consider the importance of metacognition. This is the process of thinking about your own thinking. When you are learning English, try to be aware of how you are learning. What strategies are working for you? What areas do you need to focus on? How can you improve your focus and your motivation? By developing your metacognitive skills, you are becoming a much more self-directed and efficient learner. You are taking control of your own journey, and you are building a foundation for lifelong success. Imagine you are an architect designing a massive and complex building. You have the plans, the materials, and the vision. You are constantly monitoring the construction, making adjustments as needed, and ensuring that everything is on track. You are not just building, you are thinking about how you are building. This is metacognition. It is the ability to step back and observe your own learning process, to make informed decisions, and to achieve your full potential. I want to talk about the importance of English for self-expression. Language is the way we tell our stories to the world. It is the way we share our dreams, our fears, our joys, and our struggles. I want you to use English to express your own unique truth. Write a poem, tell a story, share a memory. Don't worry about being perfect. Just be yourself. This personal connection to the language is what will make it truly yours. It will transform English from a school subject into a part of your soul. Imagine you are a singer, standing on a massive stage before a crowd of thousands. You open your mouth and you sing from the depths of your heart. You are not just making sounds, you are sharing your soul. The audience feels your emotion, your passion, and your truth. This is what it means to use English for self-expression. It is a way of connecting with the world on a deep and meaningful level, of making your voice heard, and of making a difference. As we reach the conclusion of this extensive training session, I want you to feel a sense of profound accomplishment. You have dedicated a significant amount of time and energy to your growth. You have pushed yourself through long narratives, complex abstract concepts, and intensive physical and mental exercises. You have shown the dedication and the focus that are required to achieve total fluency. This session has been a powerful immersion experience, and you will see the results in your confidence and your ability to understand and speak English without translating. Remember that the journey doesn't end here. Every day is a new opportunity to inhabit the English world. Keep your internal monologue going. Keep seeking out sensory experiences in English. Keep challenging yourself with content that pushes your boundaries. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your victories and never stop being curious. You have the potential to reach the summit of fluency, and I am here to support you every step of the way. I want to thank you again for choosing English in advance for your learning journey. It is a privilege to be your host, and I love seeing the progress our community is making. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment and let me know how this session has impacted your thinking. What was the most important lesson you learned today? What story stayed with you? I value your feedback and I look forward to connecting with you in our next lesson. I will leave you with one final thought. Language is a gift that allows us to share our hearts and minds with others. By learning to speak English without translating, you are giving yourself the gift of a wider world and a deeper connection to humanity. You are no longer limited by the boundaries of your native tongue. You are a citizen of the world. Keep your head high, your heart open, and your mind in English. This is Jessica signing off for now. Take care of yourself, and I will see you very soon in the next adventure. Goodbye for now, and keep on shining. To ensure we are fully maximizing our immersion time, let's explore the psychological concept of cognitive load. This is the amount of mental effort being used in the working memory. When you are translating in your head, your cognitive load is incredibly high. You are trying to manage 2 languages at once, which leaves very little room for actual communication. Our goal is to reduce this load by automating your English processing. We do this through repetition, immersion, and by building direct associations between sounds and meanings. The more you practice, the more these processes move from your working memory to your long-term memory. This is when the click happens and you start to think and speak in English effortlessly. Imagine you are an athlete training for a high-stakes competition. You practice the same movements over and over again until they become second nature. You don't have to think about what you are doing. Your body just knows. This is what we are aiming for with English. We want the language to be so deeply embedded in your brain that you don't have to think about it. It just flows out of you, natural and easy. This automation is the key to true fluency and to a life without translation. Let's also discuss the role of shadowing in more detail. This is a technique where you repeat what a native speaker says, exactly as they say it, with as little delay as possible. It is a way of training your brain to process English at the speed of a native speaker. It also helps to improve your pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. Try it with this session. As I speak, try to repeat my words in your head or out loud. Don't worry about the meaning. Just focus on the sounds and the flow. This intensive practice is what will transform your listening and speaking skills. Imagine you are a shadow, following a person as they walk through a beautiful forest. You mimic their every move, their every gesture, their every step. You are perfectly in sync with them, moving as one. This is what you are doing with shadowing. You are becoming the shadow of the native speaker, mimicking their sounds, their rhythm, and their soul. This deep connection is what will lead you to the highest levels of fluency. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of positive self-talk. The way you talk to yourself about your English journey matters. If you tell yourself that you are bad at languages or that you will never be fluent, you are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. Instead, tell yourself that you are making progress, that every mistake is a learning opportunity, and that you have the power to achieve your dreams. This positive, proactive mindset will give you the strength and the determination to keep going, even when the journey gets difficult. Imagine you are a garden, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant seeds of doubt and fear, you will grow a garden of weeds. But if you plant seeds of confidence and hope, you will grow a beautiful garden of flowers. Be the gardener of your own mind. Plant the seeds of success and watch your English fluency bloom. I want to thank you one last time for your dedication and your passion. You are doing something incredible, and I am so proud to be a part of it. Keep pushing your boundaries, keep seeking out new experiences, and never give up on your dreams. The world is waiting for your voice, so make sure it's heard in English. I'll see you in the next lesson. Goodbye. Now let's explore the concept of metaphorical mapping. This is a way of understanding abstract concepts by comparing them to physical actions or objects. For example, we often talk about building a career, planting an idea, or navigating a relationship. By using these physical metaphors, we are making the abstract more concrete and easier to understand. This is a vital skill for B2 learners, as it allows you to express complex thoughts with clarity and precision. Imagine you are an engineer designing a massive and complex bridge. You have the plans, the materials, and the vision. You are building the bridge, piece by piece, ensuring that it is strong, stable, and beautiful. This is what you are doing with your career. You are building it piece by piece, ensuring that it is strong, stable, and successful. This metaphorical mapping is a way of making your English more expressive and more impactful. It is a way of telling your story with power and with purpose. Let's dive into another story to anchor this concept. Imagine a man named Peter, who is a mountain guide, leading a group of climbers to the summit of a massive and challenging peak. He uses his knowledge, his experience, and his intuition to navigate the difficult terrain. He knows when to push forward, and he knows when to take a break. He leads his group with confidence and with care, ensuring that everyone reaches the top safely. In this story, words like summit, terrain, and intuition are your anchors. The summit is the highest point of a mountain. Terrain describes the physical features of a piece of land. Intuition is the ability to understand something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. By connecting these words to Peter and his mountain adventure, you are giving them a rich and powerful meaning. The role of cultural intelligence in language learning is another area where we must focus. Language is deeply rooted in culture, and understanding the cultural context is essential for reaching a high level of fluency. This means learning about the history, the values, the humor, and the social norms of English-speaking countries. By developing your cultural intelligence, you are becoming a much more sophisticated and sensitive communicator. You are learning to navigate the nuances of the language, to understand the subtext, and to build meaningful connections with people from different backgrounds. Imagine you are a traveler, exploring a new and beautiful country. You are learning the language, but you are also learning the culture. You are eating the food, listening to the music, and meeting the people. You are immersing yourself in the experience, letting it transform you and expand your world. This is what you are doing with English. You are not just learning a language, you are learning a culture. You are letting it transform you, expand your world, and connect you with humanity in a new and meaningful way. As we reach the final conclusion of this ultra-extended training session, I want you to feel a sense of profound pride and accomplishment. You have dedicated a massive amount of time and energy to your growth. You have pushed yourself further than you ever thought possible. You have shown the dedication, the focus, and the passion that are the hallmarks of a true master. This session has been a deep dive into the heart and the soul of the English language, and you have stayed engaged and inspired throughout. Remember that the journey doesn't end here. Every day is a new opportunity to inhabit the English world. Keep your internal monologue going. Keep seeking out sensory experiences in English. Keep challenging yourself with content that pushes your boundaries. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your victories, and never stop being curious. You have the potential to reach the absolute summit of fluency, and I am here to support you every step of the way. I want to thank you again for choosing English in advance for your learning journey. It is a privilege and an honor to be your host, and I love seeing the incredible progress our global community is making. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Leave a comment and let me know how this massive session has impacted your thinking and your fluency. What was the most important lesson you learned today? What story will you carry with you? I value your feedback and I look forward to connecting with you in our next lesson. I will leave you with one final thought. Language is a bridge that connects us all. By learning to speak English without translating, you are building a bridge that is strong, fast, and beautiful. You are connecting your heart and your mind with the rest of the world, and you are creating a future that is full of possibility and wonder. Keep your head high, your heart open, and your mind in English. This is Jessica, signing off for now. Take care of yourself, and I will see you very soon in the next adventure. Goodbye for now, and keep on shining. To ensure we have left no stone unturned, let's talk about the silent language of communication, body language and nonverbal cues. In English-speaking cultures, eye contact is a sign of honesty and confidence. A firm handshake is a sign of respect and professionalism. A smile is a universal sign of kindness and openness. When you are speaking English, try to be aware of your own body language and the cues of the people around you. This nonverbal communication is a vital part of the language, and it carries as much meaning as the words themselves. By mastering the silent language, you are becoming a much more complete and effective communicator. Imagine you are an actor performing on a massive stage. You use your voice, but you also use your body, your face, and your gestures to tell the story. You are communicating on multiple levels, creating a rich and impactful experience for the audience. This is what you should do when you are using English. Be the actor. Use your whole self to communicate your message, your emotion, and your truth. This holistic approach to language will give you a level of fluency and impact that is truly exceptional. Finally, I want to talk about the power of community storytelling. This is a way of sharing our stories within a supportive community. When we share our journeys, our struggles, and our successes, we are not only helping ourselves, but we are also inspiring others. I want you to be a part of our community storytelling here at English in Advance. Share your experiences in the comments, connect with other learners, and let's build a future where we can all speak English with ease and confidence. Imagine we are all sitting around a massive bonfire under a starry sky, sharing our stories and our dreams. We are listening to each other with our hearts, offering words of support and encouragement. We are building a community of friendship, of understanding, and of hope. This is what we are doing here. We are sharing our journey. We are supporting each other, and we are achieving our dreams together. I want to thank you one last time for your dedication, your focus, and your passion. You are doing something truly incredible, and I am so proud to be your guide. Keep pushing your boundaries, keep seeking out new experiences, and never give up on your dreams. The world is waiting for your voice, so make sure it's heard in English. I'll see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.